Good morning, I'm the Reverend Steve Page from St. Patrick's Anglican Church, and you're listening to the daily devotional sponsored by the Hudson Bay Ministerial. This month I'm drawing our images of Christian faith and spirituality from the wonderful, sometimes weird, world of sports. Today let's go back to the 1970s and talk some hockey, specifically Darryl Sittler and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Put on my hockey jersey thinking cap for this. Now, Darryl Sittler had a Hall of Fame career with the Leafs, and in the 1975-76 season he was named their captain, and he responded with 41 goals and 59 assists, and in doing that he became the first Leaf to reach the 100-point mark in one season. Now, 2 years later he topped that total with 117 points on 45 goals, 72 assists. Now, that total that year trailed only Guy Lafleur and Bryan Trottier in the league scoring race. But Darryl Sittler did not have a great relationship with his bosses, especially team owner Harold Ballard. Later in his career, in fact, their relationship would get so bad that he removed the captain's C from his jersey and walked out on the team due to depression, demanding a trade. Well, even in his breakthrough 100-point season, Sittler was sharply criticized by Ballard for a slow start. And while he would finish with more than 40 goals, he had only 5 in the first quarter of the season. And for a skilled scorer like Sittler, it seemed like he was asleep for the first couple months. But he was certainly awake on the night of February 7th. It was a home game against the Boston Bruins. And in that game, Sittler set the record for most points in a single game. Now, it started well enough for Sittler. He picked up 2 assists in the opening period. And then in the middle period, Hitler scored a hat trick, and the puck just was finding its way into the net for Darryl Sittler. He also added 2 more assists in the middle frame, and that gave him 7 points, just one shy of the league record, and he still had 20 minutes of hockey left to play. Well, in the third period, Darryl Sittler netted another 3 goals, and he finished with 6 goals, 4 assists, for a record-breaking 10 points in one game. It's a total that still stands today. No one else has had more than 8 points in one NHL game. Not Gretzky. Gretzky reached 8 twice, but never more. Not Mario Lemieux, who was the most recent player. He reached 8 points back in 1989. But Darryl Sittler's record from 1976 still stands today. Now, sometimes Sittler got a lucky bounce, such as when one pass he made out from behind the net bounced off one skate, changed direction, hit another skate, and trickled past poor Bruins goalie Dave Reese and into the net. But other times, Sittler had to be awake and alert to an opportunity to score, like when he blasted one past snoozing goalie from just inside the blue line, crossed the blue line, and a quick, hard shot found the back of the net. You know, the Bible uses the contrast between asleep and awake as well to spur us on to greater faith and greater action in our Christian living. St. Paul writes in Ephesians 5 and verse 14, he urges his hearers by quoting a saying they would have been familiar with. Wake up, sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine in you. Or again in his letter to the Romans, he writes, the hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. It's part of a longer challenge to live in ways that please God rather than living for ourselves. And of course, most famously, on the night that he was betrayed and turned over to the authorities, Jesus was in a garden praying. And according to Matthew 26, at a time when he really needed the support and prayers of his followers and friends, they could not stay awake. Jesus returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Couldn't you men keep watch with me for 1 hour? He asked Peter. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. That sums up a lot of the times that we do things we shouldn't, or when we fail to do things we should. Now, Darryl Sittler, he was not literally sleeping through the first quarter of that 1975-76 season, and you are likely not literally sleepwalking your way through life. But you may need to wake up, O sleeper, and devote more time and energy and prayer to living as God calls us to do. For St. Patrick's Church, I'm Steve Page.